Crawl space, crawl space, crawl space.
Welcome to the Patreon Gossip Pod. What's going on? I'm Tim here today with Lance, joined by the good doctors, Dr. Shiloh and Dr. Scott of LA Not So Confidential. What is up?
Hey.
It's a quarantine Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed. Tim came with such gusto to
I know.
a Patreon that he's got.
That he doesn't care about.
Well, he doesn't have a dog in the fight.
That's a good way to put it.
I have a dog in the fight.
I got a dog.
Trust me. So we are having the good doctors of the wonderful podcast LA Not So Confidential here on Patreon because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think my co-host and Scott, your co-host, both have Twin Peaks tattoos.
No,
She
I'm the
has
one
many
with the
tattoos.
tattoo.
Okay, just Dr. Shiloh. So she's the real Twin Peaks fan.
Wait, whoa.
And Lance is a poser?
Oh.
Are you saying I don't?
No, I'm
have-
saying
where-
Scott doesn't.
I don't.
Scott doesn't.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, I know. I was saying, yeah. Okay, so me and you, we're the ones whose co-hosts
Right.
have Twin Peaks tattoos. Sorry if that was a little roundabout.
Gotcha. That was confusing.
That was very-
Sorry. Yeah. So before we even became friendly with you guys and I watched the Oxygen show, I was like, oh, look, what is that on Lance's arm? And I think I sent a tweet like saying something about it to you guys. And that was kind of the birth of our friendship. So this is
Look at
this
that.
is full circle right here.
Look at that. So Twin Peaks bringing shows together.
Yes, as they should.
Amazing. What is your tattoo? Tell me a little bit about the origin of your Twin Peaks tattoo.
Okay. So about 2 years ago, I wanted to start my leg sleeve tattoo. And I had the idea to just do a bunch of different traditional American style tattoos of things that I'm into, but at least it would all be in the same style. So I started with Twin Peaks, gave some ideas to my tattoo guy, and he drew it up. And I do have a picture of it. It's on my leg, so I'm not gonna like throw my leg into the camera. But you guys are gonna put this on YouTube, right? You guys put this on?
We might have to start a Patreon channel just for that.
Okay.
Yeah, go for
So I'm gonna share because you can just lift your arm up, Lance. But
That's true.
can you guys see that?
So
it.
great.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So it has to describe for audio, it has the cup of coffee, of course, and it has the
Oh, of course.
owl hieroglyphic.
It's,
Who
it's,
What?
doesn't know
What?
about the cup of coffee or
it's
the
the damn
owl?
it's the damn fine cup of coffee.
It is the damn fine coffee. So Agent Cooper, the main character, was really into his coffee, as am I.
As is
love-
David Lynch.
Yes. So we got the coffee, we got the cherry pie, which is also something very famous from the show, from the diner, the Double R. Hang on, let me take a sip of coffee. 1 sec.
Oh boy.
Show
Here we
off.
go. She's got a double
Um,
R mug, everybody.
She's definitely out paraphernalia.
And then there's some blue roses. You know, a lot of American traditional tattoo has rose art in there. And so blue roses are indicative of the more paranormal type FBI cases that are investigated in the Twin Peaks world. So those are representative. And then there's a quote. It was really hard. I know we're going to talk about maybe our favorite quotes later, but to pick a quote to go on the banner of this, I chose wonderful and strange.
Perfectly
Um,
fitting.
Yeah, it
Ah.
certainly is. So that's mine. That's mine. And I just wanted something that was very representative of and sort of symbolic of the show. What about you, Lance?
I mean, I look at
I mean,
that and I
where-
say Twin Peaks.
Oh, that is way more twin. That's actually way more Twin Peaks than mine. Hold on, I might have to turn off my virtual background, or I'll just take the
yeah,
camera.
you might.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
same symbol that's on my
Yeah.
coffee mug.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that is that's the owl. That's the
Mhm.
symbol for the owl, which is also, as we find out in season 3, I believe that's it's more than the owl. So maybe that's just another conversation for another
Right.
time. But what the owl symbolizes, and then the fireball is the fire walk with me. Things being born into fire, etc.
Oh, I mean,
Your
yeah.
faces are just like
Makes so much sense.
We've probably lost half of the audience by now. We're only 2 minutes in.
No, I think we'll promote this to the Twin Peaks audiences.
Oh, heck
And
yeah.
they'll be pissed at my lack of like in-depth defining of my tattoo. They'll be like, there's more to that, but
I'm hooked into a little bit of the community. I have one artist that I know, and he's like, "Oh, let me know when it's out, and I'll spread the word." But maybe we should talk about just what Twin Peaks is and kind of the world a little bit. So, in 1990, this TV show came out, created by David Lynch and Mark Frost, and originally ran on ABC. And it's an American TV show, equal parts, I would say, mystery, horror, soap opera, very campy, and also like some supernatural elements to it. But it originally ran for 2 seasons, and it was gone by 1991. It got canceled. So a couple of years later, they did do a feature film, which was a prequel, and that was called Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. And then 25 years later, in 2017, they did season 3, Twin Peaks: The Return. So there's a long history, 25 years spread, and all kinds of stuff in between. I mean, the fandom is just crazy. There are festivals, and I've been to one of 2 of the big ones. But it is definitely has its cult following. I mean, David Lynch kind of has this cult following anyway, but
what are the 2 big festivals?
So there is the Twin Peaks Fest that was in Snoqualmie, Washington, which is a lot of the area of where the filming locations are. And then there's the UK Twin Peaks Fest. I have learned recently that when season 3 came out, that is CBS the parent company to Showtime, because that's where season 3 came out.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they ended up saying they were going to do their own festival and kind of put a cease and desist on the other ones.
Ooh.
But yeah, the one here in the States in Washington, and then the UK, those were the 2 biggies.
Yeah, and I will say the time in between, you had some books that were published. The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. That was something that was. Oh, look at that! Unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
Scott's going to divorce me after this.
No, I mean, like, it's just so hilarious because I have my version of that. My version of that would be, because I'm so ancient, would be like Dark Shadows trivia from the 60s. Or
I love Barnabas Collins.
Oh God,
Talk a little Barnabas Collins.
We'll talk. We'll transition to that later.
But
let me ask you this. This is because I'm pretty much, it's been so long, and I'd only seen that one or a handful of episodes years ago. Does it, if you watch it in chronological order, like if you started out with the movie Fire Walk with Me, would it ruin anything or making it better, or like, is it okay to watch that movie before and then start watching the series?
May I?
Please.
I would highly recommend you watch the series and then watch the movie.
Okay.
What makes the series so wonderful and strange and amazing to watch was that there was nothing that came out on TV that was quite like it, that wasn't like The Twilight Zone, which is sort of anthology style. This was something that was so quirky. It was a soap opera at night that had all of these like highly adult elements to it, murder. There was like implications of incest, but it was all like it was all behind the curtain of this like Americana town. All the quirky characters, every character that you watched on there, when you first watched it, you weren't sure what they were going to say or do, or if it even forwarded the plot, but it kind of forwarded the whole
apparently
thing.
neither were they.
kidding.
You know that, right?
Oh yeah.
Like they were that none of the, that's one of the most famous things about how Lynch directs, is that you get your lines, but you don't know what your scene partner's lines are.
Right. Which he probably doesn't even know,
Probably.
Which is fine, because I think, and I know that a lot of people think that David Lynch puts things out there randomly, but I think he's like a highly creative person who doesn't have or has never had the right like medium to show his creativity.
Totally.
And this is about as close as he can get. I just want to quickly mention the other two books, The Secret History of Twin Peaks by Mark Frost. Are you going to hold it up now, or?
No, I actually did audio version.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then the final dossier. So
Right.
one thing I love about the Twin Peaks mystique and everything that goes into it is that, like, the history. They didn't just say, here's a show, you know, like you can talk about Lost being this, like, the story that's in this, it's a storytelling that's in this one world or whatever, this one TV show that kind of goes out and what like Mark Frost took the story of Twin Peaks and weaved it into American history and how, like, the Lewis and Clark expedition somehow was related to what is in the woods in Twin Peaks. That is, like,
Tim's face is just
They
killing
just
me right now.
wrote it in. What are you talking about? They just made up some bullshit.
Oh, that's
Well,
exactly
it's kind
it.
of it's alternative history. I mean, that is a genre
Yeah.
unto itself, and
Yeah.
fiction that has a great following. You know, and when it, like, The Man in the High Castle is a version of that. But
Right, exactly.
let me ask you this, because this is what I don't remember at all. Like,
Can I just
wasn't
give
it-
like quickly, like, just what the gist is of it? It's
Yes.
Just, so
Yeah.
FBI agent Dale Cooper travels to this small town in Washington State in the Pacific Northwest, which is like the best backdrop for a mystery series. If anything's there, I'm on it. But basically to investigate the murder of a homecoming queen. So who killed Laura Palmer, we all know, is like the tagline. And that's what the entire first season was about. So
and the paranormal or supernatural elements are very subtle, right? I mean, you're never really sure, right? Because people are having dreams or hallucinations, but they don't really hit you over the head with the supernatural stuff. do they?
right.
Do we ever find out who killed Laura Palmer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was pretty sure I was gonna get no's.
No, you definitely find out.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this is one of my theories about it. It was such a huge hit. America was into it. You know, they
It
were
was
on,
such a huge hit they canceled it after 2 seasons.
No. Here's what it is.
It's what
it
he's
was-
getting to.
when it first came out, people were. It was that old, like, must-see TV. Who
Mhm.
killed Laura Palmer? You waited every week to see how the plot was going to go. I believe Mark Frost and David Lynch, they didn't even intend it to be like anything more than like maybe a standalone. I think there's like a
Yeah, the pilot was shot to actually be a standalone, one
Exactly.
version of it. Yeah.
yeah, the pilot was shot to be a standalone. So they expanded the storyline, and then because the networks wanted the season 2 because it was so successful, they dragged it out they dragged out a season 2.
Yeah.
And the actual my theory. Oops,
Yeah.
very excited. I'm gesticulating,
Oh,
knocking my mic over.
Take a
Let me
breath,
just
Lance.
say, let me interrupt real quick here. On season 1 was 10 episodes. Season 2 is 22 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Right, but it should have ended almost. It might have been exactly halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you find out who kills her, that's where it should have ended, because the season 1 of Twin Peaks is some of the best television ever made. The second half of season 2 is some of the worst television ever made.
Agreed.
Ooh,
Agreed.
And because-
interesting.
Yeah,
Now I'm
because
really
they
intrigued.
mailed it in. They were like, this was supposed to be the story. It's all, it's been hijacked, and now we have to make it into something it's not. And they tanked it, and people stopped watching.
It's probably too much for them to keep together 22 episodes. You know what I mean? I always say this about
Oh, yeah.
like trilogies. Like, I think the kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy kind of falls apart a little bit in the third one. And it's because you have all these goddamn storylines that you have to tie up in the end. And like the further you go, especially when you have a 22 episode season, it's
Mhm.
really tough to make it not feel like some filler is in there when a lot of it frankly
Oh
has
my
to
God.
be filler.
It's actually one of the things that has influenced the trend of following what the BBC and
Yes.
the British networks do, which is not 22 episodes but 12 episodes at the most. And that can work. Like, I'm a huge fan of Lev Grossman's Magicians trilogy, which is a great 3 slendered volumes, and they actually ended up like making a great series on sci-fi out of it. It was really good. But because it's all driven by money, that particular series, they told them, I think 4 episodes before okay, well, this is the last season, so you got to wrap up all 10 of those storylines. And so you go through that
Right.
last episode going, you know, you just feel like you're on a race instead of being able to watch it really kind of end carefully and creatively. And then the opposite of what you guys are talking about, where it's like, really, we're kind of spreading this plot a
Yeah.
little bit thin after all these episodes.
As many like iconic TV moments that I can that I can reference in season 1, there's the same amount of cringeworthy moments that come with it once the story starts. Once they start like expanding on the story, I will say, David Lynch and Mark Frost were well ahead of the binge watching fad. Like that trend with binge watching and streaming and Netflix. Like this, originally in 1990, this show was meant for Netflix. This was meant for a
Sure.
online stream and limited series.
And
Get
did
in
you
and out, tell the story.
did you watch it through the first run, Lance? I mean, originally, is that how you came
I
upon
did.
it? And because
I
I don't
did.
know how old you are, and I was
I was-
thinking
I was
like
5.
I was 47 when the first run went through.
because I was 12 and I was thinking, I just remember my parents were watching it and I loved it. My mom's a huge fan as well. And then Jennifer Lynch wrote The Diary of Laura Palmer that came out shortly after. And my mom's like, oh yeah, sure. Like read it or whatever. And it is graphic. It's very like coming of age for Laura, where she's like 12, first, being sexually assaulted by this paranormal being. And, it like, I was just, flipping through it like, oh my God, this is great stuff as a 12, 13-year-old kid. And then my mom, I remember she was like, you've like, this thing is always in your hand. She starts looking through it. She's like, oh my God, you can't read this. And then she hid it from me. And I was at the festival in Washington and Jennifer Lynch was there. And I remember her telling her the story of like, this is my mom. And she banned me from reading your book.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty
Amazing.
funny.
Jennifer Lynch, also a very talented filmmaker, the daughter of David Lynch, made Boxing Helena, which is a really,
Ooh.
really great film.
That's an awesome movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is very talented.
I have a question here. We've mentioned the supernatural here in Twin Peaks a couple times, and the work that you guys both do, Shiloh and Scott. You're both psychologists, forensic psychologists, I believe. And do you believe in supernatural stuff?
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Well, what's funny is when you ask that question, we've had this, I mean, Shiloh and I have been friends for so long, and she has heard every one of my stories. If I ever write a memoir, it's going to be called I Swear I'm Not Lying, because I've had a very weird and wild life, and I love being sort of a social scientist and an observer and analyzer of human behavior and emotions. But yeah, I'm a believer. I mean, I have had some absolutely unexplainable, bizarre experiences in my life. And Shiloh, and I am way more skeptical at the age. Instead of becoming more open about it, I've become a lot more critical, going, well, I was really high right then. So that probably did not have to do. But Shiloh's a lot more skeptical than I am. So we're really like Scully and
Mulder and yeah.
But together you're Sculler.
We're Sculler together.
Right, exactly.
Moldy.
Yeah.
Moldy.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had the experiences that nearly Scott has, and I am absolutely super skeptical. So when you guys were doing your Get Vocal live thing the other day, and you're talking about UFOs, and we were talking about sleep paralysis. Scott does have to tell you his sleep paralysis story.
My sleep paralysis thing is
Yes.
one of the most frightening experiences I've ever had. Like,
Yes.
Whew.
Just dawned on me that I recalled this. We
God.
were just talking about this. Shiloh put in the chat room on Get Vocal the other day. I would love to hear this story.
Go ahead.
You want to hear it now? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
or if it's too long,
No,
we
it
could
fits.
do
No.
a separate.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Lance
I mean,
loves this topic. We can make it an entire episode.
Yeah, really. I've
So-
been obsessed with sleep paralysis.
Well, the Yeah No Yeah girls, ladies have talked about it as well, because it is a common experience across all cultures in the world, which is phenomenal to me. It's really fascinating. But I was living in Chicago. I had finished undergrad, and I got a great gig in Chicago. So I moved from Alabama to this like sort of enormous little city, or little big city. I mean, Chicago was a great place for me to kind of transition out of coming from the South. And I got really, I came from sort of a moderate religious background, and I was kind of on a journey, and I started meditating very heavily. And I mean, like daily practice 2 times a day. And it was amazing because it addressed sort of what I did not know were long-term anxiety issues. So it felt like magic when it basically wasn't magic. It was learning to regulate your own body systems and give yourself a chance to recompensate. But it was really life-changing for me. So I remember I was living in a studio apartment by myself, and I had done a really intense, like 45-minute guided visualization right before I went to sleep. And I woke up about 3 a.m., which is also another indicator, because 3 a.m. throughout the sort of the occult and paranormal phenomena world is very significant.
The witching hour.
It really is. Between 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. is where something happens. And it may
The
be
veil
that
is thin.
Yeah.
right. Or it may be that that's when something neurologically is going on for us, when we have like a particular balance of chemicals. But
Okay, that's interesting, because I want to pause for one moment, because Shiloh said, "Oh, the veil is thin." That's like a common supernatural thing. You don't
Yeah.
say
Right.
the veil is thinnest if you don't look into that stuff. So
I love hearing about this stuff.
Shiloh's into it.
I'm into it.
Okay.
I want to hear it. I want to be creeped out.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Okay.
it.
Oh, okay.
so I woke up with this incredible weight on my chest. I mean, it just felt like a huge stone or something was on my chest. I was laying on my back, and I couldn't move, and I could breathe, but it was kind of difficult to breathe. And I opened my eyes, and just face to face, nose to nose, was a stunningly beautiful naked woman, bald, ebony black, like almost like as if she was carved out of stone, with bright eyes. And I don't remember like what color, but they were very bright. And her nose was like right at mine. And I just remember going, what is happening? And she started talking, and she says, "I want in." And I kind of like, what are you talking about? I want in. What do you mean you want in? I want in you. And now by this time, I'm still not able to move. And I think, this is fucking crazy. This is just really crazy. So, okay, I'm not awake. I'm not asleep. I just need to like I need to recenter. I need to recalibrate. So I close my eyes, and I take a couple of breaths, and I just like do this breathing, and I do this sort of like exercise where you move energy around your body. And then I open my eyes again. Bitch is still there on my chest. And she's like, she never smiles. Her expression never changes, but I could still feel the weight. And I was like, okay, I have to change this somehow. But I could not move. I could not move. Close my eyes again. And I go through this whole cycle of that exercise again, of really deep breaths. And then I open my eyes, and she's gone, and I still can't move. And then I can slowly start moving. And so I had never heard, this was many, many years ago. I had never heard anything of it. And I was talking to this guy who was very much into the paranormal world. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you got ridden by a hag," which was, that's another way of saying you had the hag experience, the succubus or incubus experience. And then later to find that there was, this scientific name for it called sleep paralysis. But what is very odd about it is it's across all cultures, and predominantly it is visualized as a woman. So something's going on. Now, it may be just it may be part of like a biological imperative that we are wired to dump certain chemicals at certain times during periods of stress. And that was a particularly stressful period of my life. But yeah, I mean, even if it was just chemicals, churning around in my brain, it was really frightening. It was really frightening.
I remember not long after Scott first told me that story, I had a client who he was going through the criminal justice system and was probably going to prison. And he would come into therapy and tell me about his sleep paralysis. And he would describe it as this black demon that would just like almost spoon him, like be attached to his back at night when he woke up. And I remember calling Scott. I'm like, I need to consult. what do I do with this? And we talked about, some of these things, but again, a situation for someone where it was really high anxiety, of course, but just, it's crazy stuff.
And did he tell you his story then? He was like, actually, this guy's right about this one.
Well, Scott had already told me, that's why I called him. And I'm like,
okay.
well, I have a client having a similar experience.
And
He's
even
like-
though it was an unexplained experience for me, when we were consulting, you kind of go into this mode of like, well, giving them some sort of far-fetched out there possibility is not going to help this guy get through this difficult time.
Yeah.
So let's just give him some. I remember Shiloh and I talking about, like, what can he do? There's a term we use called sleep hygiene. What can you do to prepare before you go to bed that will lower your anxiety? And there are several things you can do, that will make your sleep go better. And, what can he do to manage his anxiety? And, so you don't immediately go like, oh, we got to get you a shaman and light some sage and run around your apartment. And it may not hurt, but it's probably not going to help.
Right.
Is one of the things you should do before bed listen to LA Not So Confidential?
No, you should watch Twin Peaks.
Sorry.
Although we do have a listener who wrote in. She said, I love listening to the two of you talk before I go to sleep. It's very comforting.
Yeah,
And
it
I was
is.
like, oh,
Yeah,
that's very
nice
nice.
Cadence. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you were telling that story, and I was going off into this like Storyland time. It was
He's
great.
a good storyteller too.
Yeah.
I have so many stories.
He has
I swear
so
they're
many.
all real.
Well, I want to say one thing about David Lynch before we go on, because I really appreciate an artist, especially one who takes swings as hard as David Lynch does.
Yeah.
So I want to say I really appreciate that he is out there. It's definitely not for me. I love really weird stuff too, actually. Some of the stuff probably is for me. Did you guys see the new thing that he did that came to Netflix, that little short film with the monkey? What Did Jack Do?
I have
No,
not seen
I haven't
it
seen
yet.
that yet.
That's
What's
pretty
it
fun.
called?
It's called What Did Jack Do? It's David Lynch. Actually, he's a detective in it, and he's interrogating a monkey.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like
That's
20
great.
minutes long, or 17 minutes. It's pretty funny. So like in 17 minutes, I'm all right. That's fine with me.
Little doses of David.
I think
Yeah.
what gets me about the David Lynch stuff is like he's the kind of, and I love that he exists as an artist. I love artists, but he's the kind of artist that like he notices, oh, the camera's out of focus, and the DP's like, let me put that in focus, and he's like, no, it's brilliant like that. And
Oh
go.
yeah, I think that's
I
a
love your
soft
pop-up.
example, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well, no,
I'll tell you one of the things that I think for a lot of people, like you and me, Tim, like I can appreciate it. It's not something I immerse myself in. Every once in a while, I'll see something that just is jarringly amazing to me,
Yeah.
like Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
Like Mulholland Drive, I saw it once and I can remember absolute complete details about it because it was so bizarre and out there. But the thing that I don't like, which I know some audiences do, is it's so nebulous at the end. Everything he does at the end, nothing is ever really tied up.
Mhm.
And, I think part of me just really wants like sort of a concrete ending. Like I can deal with Inception, not knowing whether or not he's caught in the dream at the end. But when it comes to like Mulholland Drive, I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. I think I
Like
spent
what?
a good couple of years of my life trying to figure out Mulholland Drive, which I love because it's very, very similar to Twin Peaks. And I had to come to a realization of like, I'm never going to find the answer. Like, stop reading these message boards or, everyone's theories out there, and paying attention to the things that are read, and that'll give you the key to everything. And like, I just have to like let go at some point because I'm never going to get inside David Lynch's head.
I will say to Tim's point about how he will look at something and be like, it's out of focus, and they're trying to fix it. He's like, no, it's brilliant. I remember Inland Empire, watching Inland Empire.
That's the
Oh,
movie
right.
I'm referencing. Yeah.
Right, because he discovered digital video.
Yeah.
He discovered digital, and he's
Right.
like, everything's gonna be digital now. and he has these like insane close-ups
Right.
that look completely terrifying, because it's
Yeah.
like a sort of a elongated face, like that's
Yeah.
really close, but the focus is all off because it was like push the camera in. Oh, that's perfect. That's how people see. You know, he definitely has he definitely maybe not overthinks it, but he runs with it. I feel
Yeah.
like he gets excited and runs with it. What I find amazing about him is that like how he even like became a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like how was he even accepted in the first place with
How do you do
Eraserhead?
Eraserhead and move
Yeah.
forward from that?
Right.
No.
He got like the was it like the endorsement of John Waters or something? Like John Waters saw Eraserhead and John Waters had made something of himself. There was something like that where another
Yeah.
director sort of in that genre was like, oh, you got to check this guy out. And then he gets The Elephant Man, which is
Yes.
a brilliant movie.
So
Fucking
yeah, that
brilliant.
seems to be
Well,
what
there's-
happened.
true, but the other part of it is with a movie like Elephant Man is Elephant Man came already. I mean, and I
Yeah.
don't know all the details of it, but it came as a package.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like the reason M. Night Shyamalan just continues to, like, as M. Night Shyamalan got more powerful and able to call his own shots, the quality of his movies went down because he didn't have to answer to anybody. You know, and
Yeah.
sometimes it really is a good thing to be able to answer to studio heads and other creatives who can say, let's rein it in a little bit. You're going to lose the audience. You know,
Yeah.
and there's some
Yeah.
directors, I don't care about losing the audience. This is for me. And it's like, no, it's still an industry, right?
Right.
So that seems like that's what happened with Lynch. He made Eraserhead, which was his breakout in 1977. He got a movie that was sort of probably thrown at him because he was now the hot director in town, and made The Elephant Man in 1980, which was nominated for 8 Academy Awards. And then he made Dune in
Dune.
1984, which is
Oh my God. Dune
4
is
years-
incredible. Dune
Well,
is
it's every teenage boy's. I mean, like once I finally got into the Dune series, I was like, what's happening?
my
Oh, great.
my girlfriend and I went and saw Dune at the Museum of Fine Arts. They had a
tell her I'm sorry.
no. We went there because it's one of those things where the movie is so bad it's loved, right?
Right.
And everyone's quoting the lines and they're like laughing, like when Kyle MacLachlan looks up and he's like, "What?" You know, like he all of these like dramatic, like they're riding these big like worms or
the
something.
the sandworms.
The sandworms. Everyone's dying. Like people are cracking up in the audience. It's
But
just-
at the
it's become a-
time, it was almost like the sci-fi version of The Shining, because what he was doing visually was doing this. Well,
It didn't have
Look.
good reviews. It's at 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas Eraserhead and The Elephant Man are at 90 and 92 respectively.
Oh, wow.
yeah, but I think that like that first audience was probably all us dweebs that were Dune fanatics that were
Yeah.
like, I mean, I remember sitting in the theater and like the guy I was going out with was literally, this is his expression. And I kept going, okay, so here's what's happening here is there's this whole thing called spice and you get addicted to it and it makes your eyes blue, but you kind of get psychic and he's like, well, why didn't they tell me that? And like,
One of the best parts of Dune is at the very beginning, where the narration is happening and the introduction,
Princess Irulan, yeah.
and then it fades out, and then it fades back into it again. Like
Because they had to.
We forgot a little bit.
Or basically that was shorthand for the test audience didn't know what the fuck was going on, so we had to record. Get Virginia Madsen back in the studio and let's record some more.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it seems like when he gets a little bit more creative freedom is when he kind of goes awry a little bit.
A little
maybe.
more, a little too awry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
and
but
season 3 was pretty
Yeah,
artsy.
I mean, I'm going to back out of the
Was it
conversation
good?
because
That's
I want to
okay.
let you
It's
guys geek
phenomenal.
out on it for a second. But I want to just say, like, but there is something brilliant about what he does. Like, he campaigned for Laura Dern for an Emmy. I think this was like 10 years ago or something
That
like
was
that.
the Oscar for Inland Empire.
It was okay. That's what it was. And he sat on his on the sidewalk in his director's chair with a big like Laura Dern for Oscar for your consideration.
Mhm.
And he was sitting next to a cow, right? And just as people in the industry drove to work. And, you know, like, so I love that aspect. I love how eccentric that is. But yeah, again, some of his art is not for me.
Yeah, season 3 was the most recent in 2017. I love that they just let him, Showtime was like, have at it. I mean, he probably had to be reeled in a bit. Lord knows what it would have totally been like. But I just can't even describe the excitement to learn that it was coming back exactly 25 years later. So in season of Twin Peaks originally, Laura tells Agent Cooper, I'll see you in 25 years. And so when literally 25 years rolled around and it was going to be coming out, it was like to all of us fans, you know, it was like, yes, okay, I've waited a quarter of a decade for something. But what were you going to say about it, Lance?
Oh, I was just going to say it. The first time I watched it, I was like, this lost me. He blew it. And then it stays with you and you start thinking about it and you're like, okay, maybe there's something there that I just didn't get because I was too excited.
Sure.
And I watched it a second time. Then I started handpicking certain episodes and watching them again. And then I just realized, like, this is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's the brings it all. He, as much as he can do to bring it together, like the final episode was as close, was as wrapped up as a loose ending could be.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost like a wink to the fans as well. Like the final line, like the final in the last episode, I think it was 18, right? Was it 18 that they had? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay. That final episode, was it 18? Was there that many episodes to it?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, but yeah, either way, the final episode was almost like a wink to the fans, where it was where it was
everything you could have wanted, but left you wanting more too, in a way.
But it left you wanted more
perfectly.
Yep, and it brings you right back to where you started. But there's still this like giant question,
and like this wild journey in between as well.
Oh my god! And it's brilliant. It's exactly what it had to be, because they told you what everything was. In a sense, they told you what everything was in the first season. Yeah. Like what the Black Lodge was, what happens when you're there, and I think what people, some people got put off by it because there wasn't that quirkiness to it. There wasn't those, like, the lovable characters weren't lovable anymore. Mm-hmm. They were all beaten down. It wasn't new to see somebody like act so quirky anymore. So it had to be like, well, this is where these characters are now. You know, they're beat and they're weathered, and this took a toll on them. And you can see it too, which is awesome.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite characters? And I think this is probably a really hard question to ask.
Oh my. But
because there are, as is in most David Lynch films, I mean, there's just so many characters too. But
yeah, I mean, other than Dale Cooper, I was a huge Nadine fan because she was sort of like the mother of the community, I guess. The log lady was amazing, and I was a big Bobby Briggs fan too.
Yeah.
What about you?
Again, like, putting Dale Cooper aside, because he's like Michael Scott from The Office. Like, how do you not just say he's number one? But Albert Rosenfield is my favorite.
God, right.
I mean, I love Albert Miguel Ferrer, and every scene he's in, I think, is great, and his dialogue is just fantastic. I love the log lady. I love. I'm trying to think of someone more obscure that like wouldn't be someone obvious. Oh, David Duchovny, when he comes in, his character was brilliant.
Yeah.
So he plays a transgender special agent from the FBI, and it's just like you don't even realize it's David Duchovny.
He's like the highlight of season 2.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But but there's a lot of characters that I can't stand either, like Annie. Heather Graham, I think, is the worst actress in the world, and I think she's terrible.
Yep, that was a terrible addition.
It's awful.
Yep. As much as I want to like him, I'm not a big James fan.
Oh God, James is awful.
Like, there was a line in season 3 where they were like, "No, James has always been cool," and I was like, "What? No, James has never been cool."
Right. And was it in season 2 when he left town and went and shacked up with that
Yeah,
married lady? Ugh,
Yeah.
that was like the worst thing ever.
it's
season
like they
2.
wrote these storylines and they were like, "Okay, well, what's the thing that's going to really irritate people?"
I don't know.
Let's-
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my most favorite cringeworthy moments was the song that him and
Him and Donna.
him and Donna,
Right.
He's playing. Suddenly, he's playing the guitar. He's got a
I
little
don't
amp.
know. Right. Yeah. That's
Playing
pretty
this
awful.
ridiculous song.
It's like James had a purpose and it was perfect to have Laura have him as her secret boyfriend, but he's such this like whiny little guy. But I get it. Like I get.
whiny guy for like a tough guy.
Yeah, for a leather jacket.
He's got a motorcycle and
person.
yeah. Although I liked him better in season 3.
Yeah, true. Yeah, for sure. So have you been to like any events or screenings or
No. I've
anything?
been to Snoqualmie Falls. I've been there, which was nice. But no,
Mhm.
I think I was I think I didn't want to like really commit to my fandom like that.
It's weird because you know, I remember when I decided to go to the festival and I was like, come on, Mom, we got to do it. And we have family in Washington, which is also kind of a weird story that my family moved up to Washington. They're originally from Southern California. And so I visit there in my childhood all the time and got super into Twin Peaks, obviously, and like preteen, teen years. And then I started getting into genealogy and researching a lot of my family history. It turns out when my mom's side of the family originally traveled in covered wagon from Kansas, they ended up in North Bend, Washington, which is where Twin Peaks was filmed.
No way.
So my ancestors settled there, which is so weird that there's like this ancestral tie to the area. And I just, like I said, I love the Pacific Northwest so much. But so there was this other thing there that I get like such a great vibe. But I remember my mom and I were like, this is either going to be super weird or these are going to be our people or like, I don't know what to expect, but it was great. It was, you're with your people, you get to see these other, it was less about the celebrities that were showing up and you know, going and seeing locations were awesome, but kind of that camaraderie of like, oh, we're all into the same weird thing. So Libby, I just want to show you guys some other
I think that's
pictures.
the psychology behind flat earthers too, but I'm just gonna
Shut your face. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to move here. So this is,
that's awesome.
okay. So this is from when we went in 2005. So when you went into like the welcome area, they had the donuts laid out. And then as you can see, there's blood spilled and a bird feather on the donuts because the bird Waldo gets shot in the sheriff's station. And it gets splattered all over the donut display that they have out every single day in this wonderful sheriff's department. The picture in the top left is, of course, where the sign is as Dale Cooper enters the town of Twin Peaks. Because we did a little bus tour. So they did like taking you to different film locations. And then, of course, I've been to the Tweeds Cafe, which was the Double R Cafe, a ton of times. I went there first when I was younger, like 12 or 13. But we spent a lot of time there as part of the festival. And then we have the Roadhouse up here. We got to drive by it. We didn't go inside. And then you have Ronette's Bridge, which I love bridges. I'm a huge bridge fan. And so this was super cool to be able to see that, take pictures.
Is the Roadhouse an actual bar?
I don't remember what it is, actually. This is all that's left of the mill, or in 2005, that's all that was left. Lord knows what's there now. And then it's right where I'm actually taking the picture of the mill is the front of the sheriff's station here on the left or on the right. I'm sorry. Let's see. And then my mom and I stayed a night at the Salish Lodge, which is the Great Northern, the outdoor shots of it. It's a great hotel, one of my favorite places to stay. It has a great spa. It has great food. It's just
I'd lunch there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. We hiked down to the falls area. And then they do a night with a panel of whatever celebrities they can get to show up. So that's me and Jennifer Lynch.
Oh, cool.
And then who all was there? So you have Charlotte Stewart, who's Bobby Briggs' mom, Catherine Colson, who's the log lady, and then that's my mom and me with Ronette.
Oh yeah.
She has short, like little pixie haircut. And then it was cool. It was like in this barn and they had like a big barbecue and then they have this little red room set up. It was campy, but like perfect enough, you know? So, I had a blast. I've heard it's changed over the years into, I don't know, just changed hands and hasn't been that great, but I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. The next day we had a picnic and we had our own Tibetan rock throwing contest.
Nice.
As we ate cherry pie, but it was a lot of fun. But
That's amazing.
yeah, cool stuff. But there's always stuff here in LA, like little get-togethers and screenings. And when season 3 rolled out, there's this place right around the corner actually from Scott's house that they like use as this pop-up restaurant every single time. Basically, you know, something like when 90210 came back, they made it that diner.
It was the Peach Pit, but it was
Yeah.
the original Johnny Rockets, and unfortunately it was just too small to make enough money. But it's been the Peach Pit, and then it was the Double R, and
Right.
it's
There, I have
cool.
some
I mean, they'd
pictures
use
here.
it for everything.
So this is what they did with it. They made it the Double R, and then they had this cool like poster out front. And then there was another pop-up location where my mom and I actually went to a brunch that was all Twin Peaks themed. So it's, you know, LA, we're
amazing.
kind of lucky sometimes to get to
think
go to
that's
these
fascinating.
things.
I think it's really fascinating, though, that it touched such a nerve at that time in entertainment, that it was so quirky and odd, but spoke to people. And
Mhm.
in all seriousness, like, you know, that's actually what connects people together, is like that shared experience. I remember reading a lot about the Dark Shadows conventions that have literally been going on for 40 years, and they, you know, continue to go on. And so many people talk about it being rediscovering it, like, you know, on Sci-Fi, versus somebody my age who saw it when they were in elementary school, and it just spoke to people being outsiders, you know. So everybody
Yeah.
kind of, oh, I feel like this is my community, and we're coming together and we can speak the same language. And I think that's sort of what your experience is with this particular show.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
This was just last year. I went to SinisterCon up in Sacramento where my dad lives, and Sherilyn Fenn was there, and I had her sign my little Funko Pop, and she did a presentation. It was great. But, you know, just kind of like the fan art is also another big thing. And I swear, like second to last picture. This is a bar in Copenhagen that I was in Copenhagen for a conference, and they have a bar called the Log Lady.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I told my husband we need a date night there while we're here. We came all the way halfway across the world. And this is one of the Palmer houses that they used an exterior shot for, and it's in Monroe, Washington, near where some of my family lives. The house that they use for, especially Fire Walk with Me, for all the interior and exterior stuff is in Everett, Washington. And I think they might have used one in
Can we also
Pasadena.
just reflect on, there's not a freaking bad picture of Shiloh anywhere. Like,
Oh, shut up. Well,
you cannot take a bad
that
picture.
was 15 years ago. No. No. But I don't know. It's cool. My husband, as I was telling Scott earlier, that I was like kind of looking through the diary today, and he's like, oh my God, you're insane person. Like, who are you? Sometimes.
You know, everyone's into their own thing.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's why I don't want to actually call you guys dorks. I don't know, you know, I didn't really know how to handle this, being a part of this conversation, not having really, I don't think I've ever seen a single episode, full through. Maybe I might have when it came back, but
I think everybody has their version of this.
Right.
I think that's
Yeah.
love. I mean, I think it's really great when something speaks to you that way.
Mhm.
what's yours, Scott? You mentioned Dark Shadows.
I really loved, I mean, I was just always you know, I mean, I was a weird kid. I was a very weird, baby of the family, but with 10 years between my older siblings and me. And, you know, I have just from, and I also grew up in a culture in the South. Pretty much everybody believes in the paranormal, but they don't talk about it. And they never, you know, you either talk about it or you absolutely don't talk about it. And I came from a family that was very, very deep South, you know, really like old folk magic influence, you know, things that are really, really deep in the rural areas. And I just remember growing up and my mom, like, not talking about certain things, not talking about how, you know, how she knew stuff when there's no way that she could have known it. And so I think that sort of had an effect on me, that I became interested in that. And it's like, I love to read, you know, I like to read horror fiction. I like good stuff. I like bad stuff, but I also like things that kind of make you think about what else is out there. Like, but Shiloh and I, one of the ones that we shared, that we also talk about a lot at work, is like The Good Place is a great example of a recent show that really hit a nerve for so many people, because on one hand, they're talking about philosophy and making viewers think, like really think about like the concept of an afterlife. And I remember, like, that's probably the first time I've cried watching television in a long time. That last episode really moved me.
Oh, really? Is it over?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Yeah,
seen
I mean,
a lot of it. It's fun.
yeah, this was the last season, and it was one of those that like we were talking about, instead of stretching something out to 22 episodes a season,
Yeah.
to where it's just like, oh God, get over yourself. This was like 10 to 12 episodes a season, and you were on the edge of your seat going, okay, what's going to happen? It's starting up again. It's starting up again.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that art, you know, and even in its current media form, is a method of bringing us together. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of what that's how we've all met and come together. And
Sure.
this weird genre of true crime, you know, it's odd and it's not for
It is.
everybody. Despite how popular it is, it brings together those of us that want to know why. We want to know the why things happen and why things don't get resolved and why people do the things they do. And Twin Peaks is a great example that like keeps throwing you off every time you try and figure something out. You know,
Well, when I was going back and looking through the diary as a psychologist, you know, I think it's such a good representation of a sexual abuse victim and drug addict, and how her personality is changing in like reading these cognitive distortions of how she's starting to say she's bad and she's not worthy of, you know, anything good in her life, and that this dark is going to take her over. And to go back, and then I really want to like watch Fire Walk with Me, because as Lance was saying, like you do have to watch the original show first, because that's where the satisfaction comes in watching Fire Walk with Me, because you get to watch everything that led up to her death and just in what a dark place she was in. And I think it was really pivotal for me to be introduced to this at a preteen age, because here I was seeing this female character, you know, of course she's supposed to be 17 and they're all like 40 years old or something, but just like what drama and crazy stuff is going on in the world and happens to people, and the psychological experiences they have. And it's really interesting just all these years later to look back.
Yeah, you said it where she was talking about how she's getting into a dark place and having the darkness overtake her. Every one of those characters is a victim of that darkness.
Oh,
She just
yeah.
happened to be the one that succumbed to it at that time. Like it was
Yeah.
a snapshot of one moment in this whole like vortex of darkness, because every one of them has that. Her mother, like in season 3, it's like so like tragic to see her mother.
Yeah.
Her
Was her
father,
mom
obviously
Piper
her
Laurie?
father.
No, Grace.
Piper Laurie, yeah.
I forget her name. The wild
Zabinski
hair.
or something like that.
oh, Grace
Zabriskie.
Zabriskie.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Who,
Oh, she's
I mean,
great.
she's a great actress, but she's got a face for playing tortured characters.
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. Piper Laurie is in it. She
She's
was
great too. Catherine.
Why
She
is
was
her-
Ray Weiss's
Yeah.
wife, right?
No.
no,
Well, Piper
she
Laurie wasn't. Grace was Ray Weiss's.
What is the scene? Remember when Ray Weiss, he's like kind of having a breakdown and he's like pounding in his head, and Piper Laurie thinks that he's dancing. So
Yeah.
she starts dancing with him doing
Oh
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
Everybody starts
disturbing.
yeah.
really disturbing.
Yeah,
Yep.
it really is. But it's that darkness, I think, is so emotional and so sad. And Cheryl Lee just does, I mean, her emotionality is just amazing. And the score, the music, and all of it is just incredibly emotional.
Yeah. Her scream at the end of season 3, like when she screamed at the end, I was like, that's it. That's
Yep.
how it's ending.
Yep.
That's it.
That's all.
And
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
it was
Chills.
so tough.
totally.
So we have a quiz. We have a 20
Yes.
question
Oh
quiz?
yeah,
All right.
let's do that.
And I think you've actually already answered a couple of them, but we're going to try and do it without the multiple choice. So
How are we doing it? Like first and like what are the rules here?
Okay, so I'm going to watch the screen here. Let me move the screen over so I can watch both of you while I read this. And
It's just like raise a hand or
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so this is a giveaway. Just going to test your hand and your
Okay.
coordination. Okay, who was the mind behind the cult series?
Oh.
Shut
David
up.
Lynch.
David Lynch.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
you could say mines and say Mark Frost.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I gotta practice.
We're gonna correct all of your answers from the internet.
Okay, great.
That's gonna be my.
Who actually killed Laura Palmer?
Bob.
Well, I'm going to give this to you, Lance.
Oh, okay.
It's-
Sorry.
It's the entity Bob.
Yes.
Oh, so you're going to even break it down. It's not actually her dad. It's the entity. It's the whatever that force.
Bob was inside her dad.
Okay. And so do you want to talk what Bob was?
Oh.
I mean,
Oh.
Bob's the manifestation.
Is Bob like
of
the
all
box in Mulholland Drive?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So we find out
It's
in
really
season
hard.
3 that the atomic bomb birthed Bob or was the gateway that let this entity of Bob out. But Bob takes over different human forms. He actually goes from Laura Palmer's father into Dale Cooper.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't know if we can describe what Bob is.
Okay. So
And he also.
go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think I gotta jump off, but please, it is the witching hour for me. But please continue.
Thanks for putting up with us.
No,
Thrown in
this
the
is a lot of
towel.
fun. Thank you. I wish I could have participated a little more, but I
He's just
appreciate
very
it.
excited. He's gonna go binge watch season 1 and half of season 2.
Gotcha. Bye, Tim.
Take it
Okay,
easy,
thanks,
man.
guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay, so you also know this one, but I'm going to ask you a question I know about this that is a little bit more trivia. But what was Agent Cooper's first name?
Dale.
Shiloh. Okay, so what's the significance of his initials? You know, Lance?
I'm gonna go on a. I don't know. His initials are DC, so I'm assuming it's significant to Washington DC.
No, remember
Or DB
the,
Cooper.
DB Cooper.
Okay.
Supposed to be
Oh,
DB
really?
Cooper. Yeah, and there's messages, there's discussion on the fan boards that if it had gone for a longer series, that they would have done something with that storyline where Kyle MacLachlan's character was actually sort of a manifestation of the guy who hijacked the airplane and jumped out.
What?
Okay.
But
Heard
that's
that
a
theory.
that's a fan theory, so who knows
Sure.
how accurate that is.
That's a
Fan
strong
fiction.
fan. Wow.
Okay, how many children did Benjamin Horne actually have? Shiloh.
Huh, it's a
3.
good one.
Okay, what were their names?
Audrey, Johnny, and Donna is actually his.
Oh, that's right.
When is Donna? When is that revealed?
That's
Season
in-
2.
Yeah, at the end of the series.
Yeah.
Okay, what
Good-
was the
good
name
one.
of the casino brothel that was owned by Horne? Lance.
One Eye Jacks.
What is the actual name of the singer girl who performed the Eerie songs at the Roadhouse? Shiloh.
Julie Cruz.
Julie Cruz.
Oh, nice.
Julie Cruz, she had a small part in the Twin Peaks prequel, and she has 2 CDs, Floating into the Night and The Voice of Love.
So eerie.
Okay, now here's a completely obscure, I mean, if you get this, you're
Crazy.
super nerds, and I love you both. Who is the composer for the series music? Shiloh.
I think I'm going to butcher his name. Is it Angelo
Badalamenti.
Thank you. I should have given that to
I
you.
am super impressed. Nobody ever knows those kind of things. That's really great.
It's,
You're true
yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
Angelo Badalamenti. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. Who played Laura's personal psychiatrist?
Oh.
Wait. Oh.
I forget his first name, but Tamblyn. What's his first
Russ
name?
Tamblyn?
Russ
Got it.
Tamblyn.
Okay.
Yes.
Now for extra bonus, because I'm a Hollywood nerd, name 2 other movies that Russ Tamblyn was in.
I know one. West Side Story.
West Side Story.
Was he in On the Waterfront?
No.
Oh gosh, he was in a cowboy movie though. Yeah.
He was in a lot of things, but like
Okay.
a Disney movie.
Disney movie.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let, that's going to, or whoever posts on your Patreon is going to have to answer that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was, Russ Tamblyn was, I mean, West Side Story was really huge for him because he was like a really well-trained singer dancer, and he did a bunch of stuff that he.
Benjamin Horne was, Tony. Benjamin Horne was Tony.
Yes. Okay. What vision did Miss Palmer see on the day when Laura's cousin Maddie was killed?
What vision
Yes.
did?
It was the symbol of an innocent victim.
Oh,
Shiloh.
a white horse.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. That's right. It was in her house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what series, I mean, what state does the series take place?
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
What spiritual place inspired Agent Cooper?
Oh,
Tibet?
yeah.
Tibet. Yes. Who of these celebrities did not appear on Twin Peaks? David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, Heather Graham, Peggy Lipton. Shiloh.
Gillian Anderson.
Yes. Everybody else did. You know, it's interesting. Heather Graham is one of those, like, women either love her or hate her, no matter what her talent is. Like, it's funny. Women have such strong, it's like her and
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
I
Anne Hathaway.
hate her.
It's so funny. Women either love them or hate them. I don't get that. It's so funny. The original Twin Peaks series lasted how many seasons on the air? Originally, 2. Yes.
Yeah,
2.
we got that.
Who was Nadine in relation to James?
Lance has his hand up.
Yes, Lance.
Was that his? It was his. Was it his aunt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ed was his uncle. Nadine was Ed's wife,
Oh,
so she
yeah,
was his
yeah,
aunt.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Look, I'm wearing my Big Ed's Gas Farm shirt.
Cool. Who was the father of Lucy's child? She was the sheriff's secretary. Who was the father of Lucy's child?
Oh no!
Shiloh.
I think it was Andy. It was
No.
Andy.
And
Was it Andy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did
Deputy
turn out to be
Andy.
Andy.
although it's possibly a tie between Deputy Andy and Richard the Salesman, Lucy herself chose Andy as the father of her yet unborn baby.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of
Okay.
another one of those things that was kind of obscure.
Yeah, yeah. That was a whole storyline for an episode. or
Okay,
two.
so which Asian actress played the role of Josie?
Oh, God damn.
I shouldn't. I can't remember her name. I'd
Oh,
have to
give
look
me
it
2 seconds. Oh my
up.
God.
Okay.
Um,
Josie Packard. Oh, I think I know
you have
it. Joan
Okay.
Chen.
Yes.
yes. Oh,
Good for you. Good for you.
well done.
Good, really great
I
actress.
had to talk myself through it. She's so beautiful.
What was the name of the cafeteria, which was run by Norma?
Double R.
Double R. Yeah.
I want to say you asked me who my favorite characters were.
Yeah.
I meant to say Norma, not Nadine.
Norma. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's
I'm
Peggy
on board
Lipton,
with you
right?
now then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh my
Peggy
God.
Lipton?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nadine actually irritates the shit out of me.
Yeah. No, Norma's an angel.
Yeah, Norma.
Ugh.
Norma was the glue that was like you always
Agreed.
when Norma was in a scene, you're like, okay, this is where I'm gonna catch my breath. Like she's gonna
Right.
pull it together for me.
Right. And for people who don't know, she was married to Quincy Jones, and their daughter is Rashida Jones.
Exactly.
And what series made her famous? Which television series made her famous?
Peggy Lipton.
Yep. You're both way too young to remember this.
Peggy
Nope.
Lipton was in.
Was it a soap opera?
No, it was a nighttime drama. It was a cop show in the 70s. The Mod Squad.
Yes.
Oh,
She was
really?
part of the Mod Squad. Yeah.
It was 3
Oh.
undercover cops.
Yeah.
And it was pretty groundbreaking at the time. Very popular show. Okay, what was the hotel that was owned by Ben Horn called? Lance.
I'm sorry, I had my
I already
pen
put
up.
my hand down.
The Great Northern.
Yes, the Great Northern. What was the Twin Peaks population as printed on the Welcome to Twin Peaks sign?
Oh.
I'll take a stab at it if you don't get it.
Shiloh.
No. He was first.
Okay, Lance.
52,105.
You're just a little dyslexic on that. That was good, though. You transposed a couple of numbers. 51,201. That was really good, Lance. Why do you remember that?
I always think like when I first saw that, I was like, wow, 52,000 feels like a lot more
It's
than this
big.
town should be.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's one of the things they talk about is like
It's
that
not,
is
yeah.
incongruous because it's portrayed as this very small town where everybody knows each other, and yet the population is really big. But like
Right.
they try and divine all sorts of meaning within that.
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Who found Laura's dead body? Shiloh.
Oh shit! I just froze. I was gonna say Jack Nance, and that's his real name.
That dude's got a crazy history. He's a tragic-
Eraserhead. Yeah. Oh my god! Why am I freezing? What's his name, Lance?
Oh my God! Now I'm on the spot. It is.
Catherine's husband.
Yeah. What?
Pete Martell.
Pete Martell.
I hate that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know.
That's
It's like
it.
the
That's
Jeopardy
20.
thing.
You both did really good.
That was a pretty good one. I
Yeah.
like that was nice.
Well, especially because I wasn't giving you all the choices. I was doing
yeah.
elimination, going, I don't know.
Right.
So some of the facts that are really interesting about the show is that people were given their lines, and they were told a little bit about what the scene was about, but they weren't necessarily told what their scene partner was going to respond with.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah. Classic
Lynch
Lynch.
and Frost shot 3 different versions of the season finale, of the first season finale.
hmm
Even
One of those
the net-
versions has. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of those versions actually has them killing Bob,
Right.
Yeah.
like in the boiler room of the hospital or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the network did not know what was going to happen. Lynch submitted a fake last script,
It's amazing.
which,
It is.
that is amazing. That especially at that time, that would be very hard to get away with now. Let's see.
What are some of your favorite scenes, Lance?
I love the scene where they are interrogating Bobby for the first time, Truman and Cooper, and Dale says to Bobby, "You didn't love her anyway." I fucking love the way he delivers that line.
Wow.
And he's also secretly communicating with Truman, just like through early text, right?
Yes.
He's got that, he's like typing him stuff on this messenger thing,
Right.
and then his last line that he says to him, he's like, "You didn't love her anyway," but he's already he already figured out he didn't kill her.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he just needed. It was the first time that you see Dale Cooper being like just flexing a little bit, like flexing his power a little bit.
Sure.
What about you?
I think, of course, there are so many, but 2 that are my favorite, actually both from season 2. So one is, it's probably my favorite, but it's the scene with Bobby and his dad in the diner.
Oh my God, great.
So Major Briggs, his father, Don Davis, who's just incredible and been in everything. He was actually Gillian Anderson's dad in X-Files.
Yeah, in X-Files.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Playing the same like military dude. But they just have this scene that is heartbreaking, and unexpectedly emotional, and Bobby is on the verge of tears after his dad tells him about this vision that he has where his son is joyful, and Bobby is just so like opposite of that. And I don't know, it's hard to describe, but that's brilliant. And then in season 2, when Leland Palmer is about to kill Maddie, Laura's cousin, and Dale Cooper is at the Roadhouse, and Julie Cruz is singing. It's just the whole ambiance. Donna and James are in a booth, and Cooper's there with the log lady and Sheriff Truman. And all of a sudden, the giant comes on the stage and basically is giving Cooper a message and tells him that it's happening again. And simultaneously, it's going back and forth to Leland killing Maddie. And it's just, again, like another really haunting scene. So those are 2 of my faves. But again, like so many fun ones. I think the Tibetan rock throwing contest is just classically a good one too.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get a couple of things in season 3, like Audrey Horne.
Just a couple.
Audrey Horne's existence at all. Like, I have no idea if that was, is that her sort of in a coma? Like,
right. Cause they end at season 2. She's in this explosion in a bank.
Yeah. And now she's fine. But then her husband is indicating that he's controlling things.
Right.
And she's saying, she needs to wake up and everything. And she's even questioning like who she is, who he's allowing her to be.
Mm-hmm.
So who's her husband? Like that. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah. Cause if she's in a coma still from that, how do you get married when you're in a coma?
Yeah. Right. And this random, like the guy who plays him, I don't know who the actor is. He's been in a couple other things. He's really sort of like this gnome-like creature.
Yeah.
He's
this little
very,
person.
very spooky and kind
of an asshole is his character.
Yeah. And he does things with like, he only agrees to do things with her so that she can be proven wrong. And he can say, I told you so. This is how, so you should stick with my script. He doesn't say that, but it feels like, when you deviate from my script, then things go wrong.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it was. Season 3, I think I just had to sit back and watch it again. Like it wasn't me. I think I've learned my lesson, like I said, of trying to figure stuff out and just taking the nostalgic pieces for what they were, but the new twist stuff. And I don't know, I felt fulfilled at the end. Like you were saying, like it gave me enough. Even in the last scene you're talking about, they go back to Laura's house. And the woman that now owns that house, that's her that answers the door.
Oh, that's actually the owner of the house.
That's actually the homeowner.
Oh, that's funny.
She and I communicate on Facebook, and she's very like if you're in the area, she's pretty open to letting people come down and go inside the house. And
really,
yeah. There's a couple things that are still in the home from the original, like and maybe not the original, but maybe Fire Walk with Me interior shots. And she has a picture of Laura's prom queen picture on the little table. But, she's not like a crazy fan, but she's embraced it. And there was a big, there was a GoFundMe when it went up on the market, and some fans were going to try and buy it, and they never made it happen. But this woman has been incredibly gracious to, be friendly to us.
That's
Peakies.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
So, well, this was fun. I mean, I don't know if we have anything else to cover, but this was cool.
I think we're good. I think
I got it out of my system.
Good. We should definitely do something like this again. Maybe another quiz, because there's so many more things that you can quiz about with this. It's insane how many things you can trivia details you can get with this.
Yeah, definitely. Scott, did you have an okay time?
I did. I mean, I actually, you and I talked about this months ago. I mean, we talked about it months ago. So I sat down on Netflix, and I was not in the mood to start something new. I mean, it was just I didn't know if it was going to grab me, and it didn't. I tried, I got about 20 minutes in and I was distracted. But now listening to the passion that you both have for it, I'm gonna go back and
Yeah.
I'll have a big glass of wine ready to go. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna try and get through. I know that like with most things, if I get through the second episode, I'll be completely hooked.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Watch season 1 and then watch the movie.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Season 1 and maybe half of season 2. Like once you see Leland, after his death, like you can pretty much
Right.
you can
Just
pretty much
turn
go
it
to you can go to Firewalk with me.
But
I
it's worth seeing through season 3, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I was going to say about season 3, it's a goddamn shame that Kyle MacLachlan was not nominated for a Golden Globe
Right.
or an Emmy for that role. He played 3 different
Three people.
versions of himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
I ranted about that quite a bit on Twitter.
I mean, the
Robbed.
the evil Dale Cooper was incredible.
I know.
Like the arm wrestling scene is one of my favorite Twin Peaks scenes. Like when he
Yeah.
delivers that line, he's like, "What is this, kindergarten?" And it's like so cheesy. Like it's such a badass way to deliver a Twin Peaks line.
Yeah.
It's such a campy line, but it's terrifying the way he delivers that one line.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I have a lot of I have a lot of admiration for him as an actor, just because he could have been nothing but a heartthrob, but he went and because he has that unbelievable jaw and
I
cheekbones.
know.
But he did Blue Velvet and Dune. I mean, he took a lot of chances with his career, and the guys like,
Sex
and then
in the City.
and Portlandia.
Portlandia. He's
so
great.
Isn't he in
hilarious on
Striptease?
Portland. Yes,
Probably.
Striptease.
yes. I mean, he just he'll do anything, which is wonderful.
But I
Yeah.
love that David Lynch has these muses and people that he continues to use after all these years. And that's
Yeah.
such a cool legacy, I think, to his work.
And how cool is it that Laura Dern was Diane?
Oh, yeah. That
That
was
is
yeah.
Made to happen.
Totally. Cool. Well, thanks for giving us an outlet in which to talk about something that is different than what we normally talk about. This
Oh,
is fun.
anytime.
Crawl space, crawl space, crawl space.